So Jodie and I were really in love and had a great relationship, and really sort of we were in it as a team. So you just, and we had always said, all right, doesn't matter which one of us pursues their career, but we would like one of us to be more dedicated to our children when we have children. That doesn't need to be. It's not a philosophy. We just decided that we thought that would be good. So she was a pretty successful actor, and I was a pretty unsuccessful actor and person in general. But with this business, so we sort of went, all right, well, let's invest in this business. I think the financial, and this is universal, I would say, across entrepreneurs. Not many, it's the lucky entrepreneur that sort of goes, hey, had heaps of money, decided to start a business, rock and roll, got investment, was pretty cool, started on 200 grand salary, on my third house, it was all good. It doesn't happen very often, it certainly didn't happen with us. So that financial pressure, which can happen entrepreneurially or not, it can happen if you just are a struggling income family. We went through that, and that is hard, but I think we were such a team that it was like, I don't know, you kind of just in it, and to be honest, we had known very differently. It's not like I had this great job and we had this really stable life that we risked to do this venture, and then we were plummeted into poverty. We'd been sort of, bones of our ass sort of people and a family for quite a while. With kids, it's harder, and the reason it changes is, I think, because you start to have pressure to put security and less stress on as a priority, and so it came up. Look, it's really fucking hard. I think anything financial is hard, and any business venture that you start that doesn't start with capital, let's be honest, none of them start with capital. Elaine's not just hang out to invest in someone that's never sold anything and just started with two guys in a garage, right? So it's hard, and it puts pressure on a relationship universally, like any financial stress puts on a relationship. And that's what we went through. I didn't have a fallback. So it wasn't like, she was like, hang on, come on, honey, ring your company back up and get that $200,000 investment banker job that you had. I didn't have that. So, I don't know, you're kind of in it. You're trying to fight up. And the decision is, do you give up all your dreams and get a job that will be unfulfilling but will keep your kids happy and take that stress out of your relationship? And I think it's okay if that's what you decide. And to be honest, I probably should have taken that path at the time. I think I pushed it beyond the realms of what is reasonable to expect your family to go through, emotionally and financially and practically. But here's the thing, right? Any artist, I remember a story with Jeffrey Rush, he was fucking 43 when he cracked it. He'd been living off 15 grand a year until then, as a 43-year-old. This is what the startup, the entrepreneurial thing is. It's not this brilliant flash of momentary genius and all works. It's just putting up with the shit until to position yourself at a time when you finally get it right. There's no right or wrong. I think, would I prefer to have not put myself and my family through that stress? Yes. Were the chances of me finally making it work good? No. Is it more likely that Vinomofo didn't work and I took my family into another 5 years of shit and poverty at the time when my kids are older? Yes, far more likely. Was it noble that I stuck with it? No. I'm happy now, but no, it's not necessarily the right thing to do. And it's for every one of me sitting here going, it's okay now, it's pretty cool, honey, we're going to New York next month. There are 20 people that went, fuck, I really fucked it up, and I broke up my family and I lost it. So that's the hard call. It's not glorious.
I'd love to keep talking and keep taking questions, but I'm told, Andre, you have a flight to catch. I just wonder, before we let you go, and this is something for everyone, is there a...
We can squeeze him another 10.
We can squeeze
Luke's already figured out my itinerary, so absolutely
does
not 8
anyone
minutes.
have a burning question that they absolutely are bursting to ask? Maybe we can try and get the mic to you. I see a hand up there on the right.
Thanks guys for that, that was awesome. I think this might resonate with a lot of people in the room, but for us, sometimes the highlight of our week is finding like a crumpled up fiver after the wash in a pocket. How do you get through those moments when, I don't know, finance is definitely a common thread here, but how do you just get through those moments when you're absolutely staring at a wall?
A lack of alternatives. Honestly, I don't know that there's a magic answer to that. It's just, you're committed to something. You know, people often ask me, they go, oh, is it fun? Wow, like, it sounds amazing. Is it fun? And I never say it's fun. It's like climbing Mount Everest. It's exhausting, it's exhilarating, it's fulfilling. It's the toughest thing I've ever done in my life. It's not usually fun. It's really, really hard. But it's worth it. And so, you know, I don't think this is a choice for me, but this isn't for everyone. And our team, like, you know, I get to be the face of kind of safety culture because, you know, I kind of started it. But the reality is, that's not how we operate day to day in a team. It's not like, oh, here comes Luke, everybody kind of steps up. It's like, I'm just one of everyone on the team, and I have certain things that I bring, and other people have certain things that they bring, and really that's how we look at it. And so it's not about an absolute that you know the perfect path. It's just you bring your best each day. Some days it's good enough, some days it's not, and you try again tomorrow. And it's as simple as that. I think it's hard. You know, I used to run a lot when I was a kid, and particularly 800 metre running, and it was exhausting. 800 metres is kind of this terrible length where you're basically running flat out the whole way, but it's too far to sprint, but you can't not sprint. And so it's just exhausting, and it just about kills you, but you get there and you feel better for it at the other end, and that's how this feels for me. I'm not selling it well. it's not for everyone.
I think it depends on your values. Like I think this entrepreneurial journey or the startup founder is a bit glorified, and I think that's why we find it hard to make it okay to fail, because really we don't believe it is. But it should be okay to even try something that burns a passion. I don't think it's okay to go, oh, I've got my safe lawyer job, but fuck, I always really wanted to start this idea that I had, and then not start it. I think you should try it, but it's okay if it doesn't work and then you go back to a job, because what are your values? Mine are more, you know, I would honestly, and sorry Elaine, but my family is more important to me than my Vinomofo journey. And if it really came to the crux, I would let that go to be a better father and a husband, because that's my value set. And that's what it has to be. And even if that meant giving up the privileges I have now, you know, you have to make the calls on your life based on your own value sets. And it has to be okay to not... There are more direct routes to happiness than starting a fucking company or bringing an idea to life, because it's not fun and it doesn't make you happy a lot. And not many people sit there and go, I found my happiness because I set a task to climb a mountain, I got there. That's not what makes you happy. What makes you happy is making peace and a connection with the stuff that is important in your life, and that's daily. It's never a goal. You don't find happiness in fucking goals. You tick a box, but there's not happy. So I think you've got to really assess that. So in the decision to how do you push through that, you've got to weigh up your values. And if your values sit in the balance of, I have to do this, otherwise I will suffer, then you have to do it. But if it's not, if it's like, this is shit and I'm letting down my family or myself or whatever, and then cool, done.
I think the other thing to add to that too is this focuses on sort of the founder stories, but there's a broader conversation here around like 40% of the people in our company aren't software engineers. There's a whole ecosystem that contribute to, you know, a successful company, and there's roles for all different types of people in those. And some of the best people on our team are people that could go out and create their own companies and do amazing things, but they've elected to be part of you know, our journey and make a contribution that way. So you know, it's about finding your individual path and what's right for you.
Elaine, did you want to jump in there?
So I don't have anything to add to that. I think you guys have covered it, but I actually did have a question for both of you. So the one thing I'm really always... Sorry, Maria, I've just taken over Maria as well.
Go for it.
Yeah. I'm always interested... So to your point, Andre, about everyone glorifies this entrepreneurial journey, I'm always keen to understand what trade-offs you've had to make in order to do that. You talked a little bit about some of the struggles with your relationship, but I'm keen to understand what you've kind of given up, and some of the things that you've been loath actually to give up, but you've made that sacrifice anyway.
Well, I had all my friends took career paths and did pretty well out of it. And I had a friend for a while, and he had to travel 3 days a week interstate when he had a baby. I was like, dude, that's fucked. Like, I would never be that guy. That's like, how can you do that? You've got a family. Stick there, don't be. And I travel 3 days a week away from my family. And I never thought I'd be that guy, but I have to. And I don't have a choice. I've tried to create a choice, and we're pretty good at creating environments to make it work in our favour as entrepreneurs, but I can't. I know that is not something that I can get back, and I know it affects my kids. And I know I try to make up for it when I'm back, but it's not the same. And it's not in my value set, and I can't see a way out of that. That's a thing I've given up. Before that was giving up, and that, I don't know, do you guys have a sense of like security in your wage, and that you can just create something you can start to build a life upon because you have some sort of regular income, and therefore you can do the stuff and decide where you're going to live, and decide what clothes you're going to buy, what you're going to do for food, and what you're going to do for fun and experiences and holidays. And I didn't have holidays for 20 years. That's the stuff. I didn't give up willingly. Fuck, I would much rather have cracked it really well early on. But it's what I happen to have given up in retrospect. They're the things.
I don't know, I struggle with that. I don't know that I think about it too much. Something that I guess wasn't portrayed to me was SafetyCulture started as a document business, online documents, and so I had a pretty comfortable income with 1.5 staff, selling online docs, and could go travelling with the kids and do stuff. And I was completely bored and wanted to do something that had a bigger impact in the world. So the idea of not having to do what I do, and perhaps being in a position where I could just, sit on the beach all day is terrible for me. That doesn't work. I know that. I'd go crazy. And so it is what it is. I think trying to be present with the kids and being there when you're there 100% is probably the thing I try to do the most. But you're making compromises all over the place. But hopefully, it's you still get to spread yourself, in the places that need it most.
I know everybody has to race off, but quickly, super quickly, before everybody leaves, is there one piece of advice that you'd give someone who is trying to do what you do? Is there a piece of advice that somebody gave you that stayed with you? Just one thing that you've never forgotten that somebody said.
There's a couple of things. I think focus is probably the biggest thing. Pick something you enjoy and then focus on it. Solve a big problem that you know well, that affects lots of people, and you'll probably go, okay, stay at it.
Look, I think for me, the thing that I didn't get right for 5 businesses and 3 careers is just make sure that I was good at creating ideas and ideas for products that people would enjoy, but I didn't equate that to a revenue model, as in an idea that people would pay for, or someone would fucking pay for. So whatever that is, I just say make sure the idea is thought through to that level, because that's the ultimate validation of your idea, and that's what made me fail until I had a simple enough business model, selling wine, that was where revenue was inherent in the idea.
Elaine, is there something that you would say to someone who is trying to get some backing?
Persistence outranks talent almost every time.
Please thank Luke, Andre and Elaine. I'd better welcome Imelda Alexopoulos from PwC, the principal sponsor tonight, to close this